Hi everyone, and welcome to the Tier 2 final of FLQL Season 1. Four finalists today have battled out for 10 whole weeks. A bit of a topsy-turvy season for all of them, going as high as Tier 1, as low as Tier 4, and eventually settling into the Tier 2. So before we start the final, a quick look at who the players are and how they have done this season. Well, as you can see on your screen, we have Nikhil Sonde in Seat 1. Let's have a look at his rankings. In terms of league table points, rank 17. Most own answers rank 36. Total correct answers rank 37. And bonus attempt strike rate, which is slightly on the lower side, rank 78. Seat 2, we have Adittya Mubai. You can see his statistics for the season. Most league table points rank 23. Most owns rank 27. Total correct answers rank 27. And a bonus attempt strike rate of 41. In Seat 3, we have Prithwish Datta. League table points rank 23. Most owns rank 44. Total correct answers rank 26. And a very good bonus attempt strike rate, rank just 9. And Srinath Basyam, we have league table points rank 10. Most owns rank 8. Total correct answers rank 3. And a bonus attempt strike rate of rank 5. So that's a sort of a stats breakdown of who the finalists are. So without wasting any much more time, let's sort of start the final. All right, so you saw the numbers. Now it's time to quiz. Let's see who the winner is today. We will not be breaking ties for any position apart from the first position. So good luck to everyone. Seat 1, we have Nikhil Sonde. It's 30 seconds on the direct, 5 seconds on the pass, and I'll give you guys a short warning when your time is running out. Nikhil, here's the first question coming for you. Question number 1. Second, and here it is. What moniker, to refer to a prolific business collective, gained wider currency after a 2007 article in Fortune magazine that featured them all dressed in gangster attire? This moniker is sometimes credited with inspiring the re-emergence of consumer-focused internet companies after the dot-com bust of 2001.
PayPal Mafia.
That's correct. It is the PayPal Mafia. Your next question coming. What Indian painting tradition emerged from the cloth painting that hangs behind the idol of Srinath, a representation of Krishna in a temple in Rajasthan's Nathdwara? The painting style derives its name from the Sanskrit words for back and hanging.
Bichara.
Aditya?
Pichwai.
Yes, Pichwai is the correct answer. And now we move to Aditya for your directs. Here's the first question. Who created the cabin crew uniforms for Singapore Airlines in 1968, which are in use till date? This French fashion designer also created the outfits for pilots at TWA and Air France. A believer in the architecture of movement, this designer also created costumes for movies, like designing the iconic sex kitten image of Bridget Bardot in 1956's And God Created Woman.
Yves Saint Laurent.
Prithwish.
I'll pass.
Srinath.
I'll pass too.
Nikhil. I'll have to pass Nikhil. And the answer is Pierre Balmain. It's like not Pierre Cardin, but Pierre Balmain. Yeah. Aditya, next question is coming up. Aditya, which 1924 novel deals with the lives of four characters, among which are Dr. Aziz and his British friend, Cyril Fielding. Set in 1920s British India, the novel takes its name from a Walt Whitman poem from his 1870 collection, Leaves of Grass, and was adapted for the screen by David Lean in 1984.
Passage to India.
That's correct. A Passage to India. So now we move to Prithwish for your questions. Here's the first. The Greek Dark Ages, or the Iron Age, followed the Bronze Age and lasted from roughly 1100 to 800 BC. Which individual from this heroic age also gives his name to this period? Ten seconds.
Alexander.
Srinath.
I'll pass.
Nikhil.
Pass.
Aditya.
Pass.
Audience.
Is this Hercules?
No, not right. This is Homer. The Homeric period. Homeric period is what it's known as.
Nice.
Next question to you, Prithwish. Here it is. The Super Classico is a football rivalry between which two iconic clubs from the same capital city in the Southern Hemisphere? The Observer listed it as one of the 50 sporting things you must see before you die, and said it made the Old Firm game look like a primary school kickabout.
Boca Juniors and River Plate.
Yes, that's correct. Boca Juniors and River Plate. Srinath, your questions coming up. Here's the first question. Roadrunner is a critically acclaimed 2021 documentary that has attracted controversy for its usage of AI to create a model of the individual's voice reciting words that he had written but not recorded. Who is this film based on? A man who passed away in 2018 while shooting in France for his CNN show, Parts Unknown.
Bourdain.
Anthony Bourdain is correct. Your next question. The Medicine Nobel Prize in 1959 was awarded for work on the biological synthesis of RNA and DNA. In a case of life imitating science, the son of one of the two laureates went on to win the chemistry prize in 2006 for his work in understanding how DNA is converted into RNA, a process now known as transcription. What was their common surname, which is also the name of a few German mountains? Ten seconds.
Can we say Schwarzwald?
Nikhil,
Pass.
Prithwish,
Pass.
Aditya.
Pass.
Okay, another pass. So that's 3 X's in the first round. This is Kornberg.
Berg.
Arthur, yes, Rajiv on the audience gets it right. Arthur Kornberg for medicine in 1959 and Roger D. Kornberg for chemistry in 2006. That's one round done. We swiftly move on to round 2. And Nikhil, your questions. Coming. Nikhil, which platform, referred to as the Uber of its industry, counterintuitively created technological barriers that prevented Baidu from searching their website? Blocking Baidu's bots from searching for products being sought by Baidu users cut off a vast supply of potential customers. Rest, as they say, is history. Being one of the world's most valuable retailers, this platform owns no inventory.
Alibaba.
Spot on. It is Alibaba. Your next question coming up. It's a long question, so bear with me. A language isolate is a language that is unrelated to any others, which makes it the only language in its own language family, or one that has not been demonstrated to descend from an ancestor common with any other language. With over 77 million speakers, which official national language is the most widely spoken language isolate? The letters of the alphabet in this language are not written linearly, but instead arranged into blocks that represent syllables. The KLPT and the TOPIK are the two main proficiency tests taken in this language.
I'm just going to scroll up. I can't see the thing.
Korean.
That's correct. It is Korean. So that's 2 on 2 for you. Adittya, your questions coming. Here's the first. What is the common surname of the two Nobel laureates who went by the assumed names of Nicholas Baker and James Baker when they were consultants on the Manhattan Project?
Polling.
Prithwish,
Bragg.
Srinath,
I'll pass.
Nikhil.
Pass.
Okay. This is Bohr, Niels Bohr and Age Bohr, AAGE. They both won the physics prize. Adittya, your questions again. Here's the second. The Clásico, in which country, takes place between Club Nacional de Football and Club Atlético Peñarol. The latter probably originated as the Railway Cricket Club, or CURCC. The Derby's first meeting was in 1900, making it one of the oldest footballing rivalries.
Uruguay.
Spot on, it is indeed Uruguay. Prithwish, your questions coming up. Here's the first. Which UFO religion was founded in 1974 and led by individuals named T or Tai and Do? It is infamous for a mass suicide in 1997 that coincided with an approach from the comet Hale-Bopp. They had also been known by names such as Total Overcomers Anonymous, but they shared their most well-known name with the notorious Hollywood film. Ten seconds.
The Kool-Aid.
Srinath.
Heaven's Gate.
Heaven's Gate is the correct answer. Prithwish, your next question is coming up. Framing Blank Blank is a 2021 documentary that revolves around the career of which celebrity, her popularity within American culture, and the conservatorship that she has been living under since 2008, sparked the fan-driven Free Blank movement. She began her career with Jive Records at the age of 15.
Britney Spears.
That's correct, Britney Spears. Srinath, your questions coming up. Here's the first. 100 Greatest African Americans is a biographical dictionary of 100 historically great Black Americans as assessed by Temple University professor Molefi Kete Asante. Which great African American gives its name to a landmark album by reggae artist Burning Spear? This Pan-Africanist once declared himself provisional president of Africa. He even incorporated a shipping line to facilitate the transportation of goods and eventually African Americans back to Africa.
I'm going to say Garvey.
And you're going to be correct. Marcus Garvey it is. Your next question. Parangipettai is a small port town in the Kudalur district of Tamil Nadu, India. The Portuguese were the first European power to colonize the area and gave the port a new name which survived through the name of a 1781 battle from the Second Anglo-Mysore War. What name did the Portuguese give? The same as that of an African capital city. Ten seconds. Three seconds. Pass you. Nikhil.
Porto Novo.
Porto Novo, the capital of Benin, is correct. Porto Novo indeed. So that's 2 rounds done, and we have Nikhil with an early lead with 4 points. Aditya and Srinath second with 3, and Prithwish currently fourth with 2 points. Nikhil, we come back to you to start round number 3. Here's the first. What word is used to describe the period in Greek history that went from about 490 BC to 323 BC? The period saw the flourishing of democratic Athens, as well as the First and Second Peloponnesian Wars. This word is also used to refer to a style of music written in Europe between 1750 and 1830. The word derives from the Latin for something of the highest rank.
Baroque.
Yeah.
Sorry, is it last to me?
Yes, Aditya.
Cum laude.
Could you repeat that?
Cum laude.
Prithwish.
I'll pass.
Srinath.
Pass.
Okay, this is the classical period of Greek history. Yes, Rajiv again gets it right. Sorry, Rajiv, I'll come back to you next time for sure. It is classical period. Nikhil, your next question coming up. Which category of a summer Olympic sport began in 1898 as a way of circumventing laws passed in New York? In this category, riders in each team take turns during the race, aimed at restricting the exhaustion of the athletes involved. It is named after the location where such a race took place for the first time.
Steeplechase.
Prithwish.
Madison.
Yes, just in time. It is the Madison in track cycling. Good point for Prithwish there. Aditya, your questions coming up. Which Indian artistic tradition gets its name from the Hindi word Sandhya, the period of dusk with which the art form is typically associated? It involves stenciled paper cutting using specially designed scissors to accomplish this process. The pictograms for all 17 sporting disciplines that were part of the Commonwealth Games 2010 held at Delhi have been inspired by this art form.
Sanji.
Yes, that's correct. Sanji art form. Your next question. Shakespeare's Taming of the Shrew inspired the musical Kiss Me Kate. The musical featured lyrics and music by which American composer? This composer was played on screen by Kevin Kline in 2004's De Lovely, and also by Eve Heck in Woody Allen's Midnight in Paris.
Gershwin.
Srinath?
Cole Porter.
Yes, indeed, it is Cole Porter. That gets you 1 point. Prithwish, your questions coming up. Here's the first. Which laboratory device is a distinctly shaped glass cover used typically for enclosing samples? It is also used to form and contain a vacuum. Metaphorically, it can also mean an environment in which someone is protected or cut off from the outside world. It is also the name of a 1963 confessional novel. 10 seconds. Three seconds. Passing to
Vivo.
Nikhil.
Beljar.
Beljar is correct, of course. Would you know who the author is?
Sylvia Plath.
Absolutely. Sylvia Plath's Beljar, indeed. Next question, Prithwish, for you. Launched by PayPal Mafia members Jeremy Stoppelman and Russell Simmons, this company crowdsourced reviews for local businesses. Its name was chosen for being short, easy to spell, and evocative of yellow pages. It has also been used to identify previously unidentified outbreaks of foodborne illnesses by public health officials. Which company?
Yelp.
Yelp with an exclamation mark is correct. Srinath, your question's coming up. Here's the first. Which Spaniard designed the cabin crew uniform for Air France in the 1960s? A museum for his designs was established in his birth town of Getaria, which has clothes donated by his pupil, Hubert Givenchy, and his client, Grace Kelly. He was referred to as the master of us all by Christian Dior.
Let me say Balenciaga.
Cristobal Balenciaga is indeed correct. Your next question. Yaghan is one of the indigenous language isolates spoken by the Yaghan people. The only known speaker living today is a 93-year-old Cristina Calderon. Which archipelago, discovered by Ferdinand Magellan and named after the bonfires that he saw when he arrived here, do the Yaghan people inhabit?
Tierra del Fuego.
That's correct. The Tierra del Fuego. That's a rapid 2-on-2 for you. That's 3 rounds done, and that gives Srinath the slight lead. We swiftly move on to round 4. Here's the question for Nikhil. Nikhil, question 1 coming up. Was inspired by Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet to tell the story of a love interest of hers who was not popular with her family in the song Love Story. This song was the lead single of her Grammy-winning 2008 album Fearless. In 2021, she re-recorded this album along with others, following a dispute with producer Scooter Brown. Ten seconds.
Taylor Swift.
That's correct. It is indeed Taylor Swift. Your next question. Which laboratory device invented by Justus von Liebig consists of a series of 5 bulbs connected and arranged in a triangular shape? It is used to analyze the carbon content in organic compounds and takes its name from its use of potassium hydroxide solution. It is used in the logo of the American Chemical Society. Ten seconds. Three seconds.
Pass.
Aditya.
Passing.
Prithwish.
Pass.
Srinath.
I'll pass non-com.
Go for it if you want.
Not the condenser, right?
No. So the answer, if Rajiv is not saying, it is the Kali apparat or the Google apparatus.
Well left.
Well left.
Kali apparat. Aditya, your question's coming up. Here's the first. Among the 100 greatest African Americans, which 4-star general made history when he succeeded Madeleine Albright to a high-ranking post? During his military career, he oversaw the invasion of Panama as well as Operation Desert Storm.
Powell.
Yes,
All in
is correct. I'll just request all players to keep both their hands visible when possible because it's being recorded and stuff. Adittya, your next question coming. Implying aura of God, what title was bestowed upon Sultan Haji Omar Ali Saifuddin after his abdication from the throne in 1967? The title survives through the name of a port capital city named in his honor.
Port capital city.
Ten seconds.
King of Aden.
Prithwish.
Bandar Sari Begawan.
Yes, he was known as Seri Begawan, and of course, Bandar, like Port Bandar, means port. Bandar Seri Begawan, capital of Brunei, is correct. Prithwish, your questions coming up. Here's the first. Which five-letter platform, referred to as the Uber of its industry, was founded by Eren Bali after he used the internet to learn his way to a silver medal at the International Math Olympiad? After learning online changed his life, Eren partnered with Oktay Kaglar and Gagan Piani to achieve a common goal, making quality education accessible to all. As is the norm with such platforms, it doesn't own any of the courses or instructors. Ten seconds. Three seconds.
Slider.
Srinath.
I'm going to guess Coursera.
Nikhil.
Udemy.
Udemy is correct. The question did say five letters, Srinath.
5 letters.
Oh, okay.
So Udemy is absolutely correct. Prithwish, your next question coming up. Here's the next. Which trilogy of fantasy novels with the TV adaptation released in 2019 gets its collective name from a line in Book 2 of John Milton's Paradise Lost? The books themselves have been seen as an inversion and retelling of Paradise Lost, with the author commending humanity for what Milton saw as its most tragic failing, original sin.
Dark Material. His Dark Material trilogy.
Yes, absolutely right. His Dark Materials is the exact answer by Philip Pullman. Srinath, your questions coming up. Here's the first. Characterized as a UFO religion, which religious movement was founded in 1930 in the United States by Wallace Fard Muhammad? It maintains that the current Allah will soon return aboard the mothership and establish a utopia. Ten seconds. Three.
I'm going to say Nation of Islam.
Just in time, it is indeed Nation of Islam. Your next question, Srinath, coming up. Although more commonly associated with a winter sport, this category of a water sport in the Summer Olympics involves navigating through a course of hanging downstream or upstream gates on river rapids in the fastest time possible. Which category is this?
Slalom.
Slalom is correct. So at the halfway stage of the final of tier 2, we have Srinath leading with 8, Nikhil close behind on 7, Prithwish also close behind on 3rd at 6, and Adittya just a little bit behind on 5 on 4th place. Nikhil, we move back to you. Look at the bonus attempt before that. Aditya has one less than the others, so we'll be first in the passing sequence. Nikhil, your question. In 2014, Richard Branson tasked which punk rock fashion icon to design uniforms for Virgin Atlantic? She partnered with Malcolm McLaren to popularize the punk look epitomized by bands such as Sex Pistols. Her pop culture heyday came in 2008 when her cloud wedding dress became a plot point in the 2008 Sex and the City movie. Ten seconds. Three seconds.
Pass.
Aditya.
I'll try Betsy Johnson.
Prithwish.
I'll pass.
Srinath.
Vivian Westwood.
Vivian Westwood is correct. Nikhil, your next question coming up. This 1960 novel, the sequel to a 1958 classic, which itself gets its name from a W.B. Yeats poem describing the atmosphere after World War I, takes its title from a T.S. Eliot poem called The Journey of the Magi. Which novel is this? The second part of the author's African trilogy.
Out of Darkness.
Aditya.
Pass.
Prithwish.
No Longer at Ease.
By Chinua Achebe is absolutely correct. No Longer at Ease, the second book of his African trilogy. Aditya, your questions coming up. Here's the first. Settling the Score is a 2020 documentary about a tennis player who dominated the 1970s but was never ranked world #1 due to a convoluted point system. The documentary chronicles the attempts of journalist and countryman Eduardo Pupo to find proof that the player would indeed have been #1 if a fairer system were followed. Which South American winner of 4 Grand Slam titles is this?
Maria Bueno.
Nikhil.
Guillermo Vilas.
Just in time, indeed, it is Guillermo Vilas. Aditya, your next question coming up. Which company was incorporated in 2003 by Martin Eberhard and Mark Tarpenning? A certain PayPal Mafia member joined management only after stepping in to lead its Series A investment round. He is now the name primarily associated with this company.
Napster.
Prithwish.
Elon Musk.
Yeah, I'm looking for a company.
Tesla.
Yes, indeed, that is correct. Tesla it is. And the person is, of course, Elon Musk. Prithwish, your questions coming up. Here's the first. Among the 100 greatest African Americans, which political scientist became the first person of African descent to be awarded a Nobel Prize, doing so in 1950? He won it for his work in Israel in the 1940s. Ten seconds. Three. Have to pass you now. We pass to Adittya.
Ralph Bunche.
That's indeed correct. It is Ralph Bunche. Prithwish, your next question coming up. Sir John served as the British High Commissioner to India in the late 1970s, while his son, Sir Adam, was High Commissioner to Pakistan in the 2010s. Sir John's father, Sir George Paget, and grandfather, Sir Joseph John, were both Nobel laureates in the sciences. What was the common surname of these 4 generations of knights? Ten seconds. 3.
Baker.
Srinath.
Thompson.
Yes, Joseph John is of course J.J. Thompson, and G.P. Thompson is the other gentleman. So Srinath gets a point there, and time to see if Srinath can extend his lead. Here's your questions coming up. Which school of Indian painting emerged from the souvenir paintings sold outside a prominent temple in Calcutta? These paintings were carried by tourists to different parts of the world and came to be recognized as a distinct style.
What do you say, Kali Ghat?
Yes, that indeed is correct. Kali Ghat paintings. Your next question. The Clásico dos Milhões is a football derby in Brazil between Flamengo and which other club from the same city? The neighborhood it is based in takes its name from a famous individual and in turn gives its name to the club. These black shirts play their home games in San Januario, the 3rd biggest in Rio.
So you won the club, right?
Yes.
Fluminense.
Nikhil?
Pass.
Aditya?
Santos.
Prithwish?
Vasco.
Yes, Vasco or Vasco da Gama. Both are acceptable answers. That's 1 point to you, Prithwish. So that's 5 rounds done. We'll move to round number 6. Coming up, first question for Nikhil. More than blank is a 2020.
That's not been.
Oops, sorry. More Than Blank is a 2021 documentary about an actor which seeks to showcase his acting career beyond his most famous role, referenced in the title of the film. Which actor, one of the first with Asian heritage to have a lead role in a US TV series with the 1987 police drama O'Hara, is this? His most famous role involved him training Daniel LaRusso to fight Johnny Lawrence.
Pat Morita.
Could you just repeat that for me?
Pat Morita.
Yes, Pat Morita is correct. Karate Kid. Your next question, Nikhil. Among the 100 greatest African Americans, which social reformer was born with the surname Bailey, but adopted his well-known one from the poem The Lady of the Lake by Walter Scott? Without his knowledge, he was nominated as the running mate for Victoria Woodhull's presidential campaign in 1872. Ten seconds.
Frederick Douglass.
Yes, that is indeed correct. Frederick Douglass. Next questions are for Aditya. Aditya, here you come. Here you go. Which UFO religion, founded by Li Hongxi towards the end of the so-called Qigong boom, operates out of a compound in Deer Park, New York? In addition to the philosophy, there are 5 basic exercises, 2 of which are named Buddha showing 1,000 hands and penetrating the 2 cosmic extremes.
Falun Gong.
Yes, indeed, it is Falun Gong. Your next question, Aditya. Which laboratory device is used for combining a flammable gas with controlled amounts of air before ignition? In 1877, the person it is named after was joint first recipient of the prestigious Davy Medal for their researches and discoveries in spectrum analysis?
Bunsen burner.
That is also correct. We move to Prithwish for your questions coming up. Here's the first. Which fashion designer was asked to design the cabin crew uniforms for Olympic Airline of Greece in the 1960s by Aristotle Onassis? This person remains the only fashion designer listed on the Times list of 100 most influential people of the 20th century. Ten seconds.
YSL.
Nikhil?
Coco Chanel.
Clutch answer. Coco Chanel is indeed correct. Prithwish, your next question. The decision to combine this category along with the other two categories of lead climbing and bouldering in the sport climbing event at the Tokyo Olympics 2020 attracted controversy, with athletes saying it was like asking a middle distance runner to compete in the sprint. Which category in which athletes climb a standardized 15-meter wall is this?
Speed climbing.
That's correct. It is speed climbing. Srinath, we move to you for your questions. Here's the first. Which 1969 memoir is a coming-of-age story that illustrates how strength of character and a love of literature can help overcome racism and trauma? Its title comes from a poem called Sympathy by African-American poet Paul Laurence Dunbar, where it is used as a metaphor for a chained slave. It often appears in lists of books banned from high school libraries in the USA. Ten seconds. Three.
Roots.
Nikhil.
This Catcher in the Rye.
Aditya.
Pass.
Prithwish.
I'll pass.
All right.
Sid,
Rajiv
why-
in the
why the-
audience. Let's give
Maya
Raj. Yeah.
How
Angelou's
How the cage?
Why the cage bird sings?
Why the cage bird sing?
Yes, I know why the caged bird sings. Yes, that
Oh
is
shit, that's it? Oh shit. Okay.
That
was my first guess.
that is indeed correct. I know why the caged bird sings by Maya
Sure.
Angelou. Srinath, your next question. PayPal mafia don Peter Thiel has launched many companies whose names are taken from the fantastical works of an English writer. If some of these companies are Valar Ventures, Lembas LLC, and Arda Capital, which writer is this?
Tolkien.
Yes, J.R.R. Tolkien is correct. So that's 3/4 of the quiz done, and the quiz is heating up. We have Srinath leading with 12, Nikhil 11, Prithwish 10, and Adittya on 8 currently. Nikhil, here's your questions coming up. The first is here. What connects the first Nobel Prize awarded to Marie Curie and those awarded to her daughter Irene Joliot-Curie as well? Gertie Corey, the first female physiology or medicine Nobel laureate, is part of this connection as well.
Jointly awarded to husband and wife.
Will you repeat that, Nikhil? Your internet's a bit scratchy.
Jointly awarded to husband and wife.
Yes, they all jointly won along with their husbands. Next question for you, Nikhil. Der Klassiker is a football derby in Germany between Bayern Munich and which club based in North Rhine-Westphalia? This black and yellow club was named after a brewery with a Latin-inspired name. They lost this derby in the 2013 UEFA Champions League final to Bayern. Ten seconds.
Pass.
Aditya?
Borussia Dortmund.
That's indeed correct. From Russia and so on, Borussia Dortmund. Aditya, your questions now. Let's see if you can double up, maybe even triple up. Here it is. This period in Greek history started in around 800 BC and ended around the time of the Battle of Marathon in 490 BC. In this period, the Greeks settled across the Mediterranean and the Black Seas. Which word is this for the period that could also refer to something that is old-fashioned?
Antique.
Srinath?
Pass.
Prithwish?
Archaic.
Yes, this is the archaic period in Greek history. Aditya, your next question coming up. The Hadza and the Sando language isolates, spoken in Tanzania, are two of only 3 East African languages to contain clicks or click consonants, thus making them part of this group of African languages currently restricted to the Kalahari Desert and to the Rift Valley in central Tanzania. Which group is this, spoken by 2 primary indigenous groups, after whom it is named?
Masai.
Srinath?
Sreshth, which group meaning? What do you want here?
Language group. 5 seconds.
Pass.
Nikhil?
Pass.
Prithwish?
I'll pass.
Passing.
Is this Hottentot?
It's called Khoi Khoi.
Koi koi.
Koi Koi.
Actually, this is.
No,
Here-
Khoi Khoi is Namibia.
Acha.
They're
It
in
is.
India, South Africa.
I haven't revealed the correct answer yet. The correct answer is Khoisan. Basically, Khoi
Khoisan.
Khoi and San. Khoisan and San, the son of the Bushman, of course.
The geography really got me. Sorry.
Prithwish, your questions coming up, Prithwish. Here's the first. Which Indian painting style features gold foil overlaid on colorful art? The paintings typically depict scenes or figures from Hindu mythology, and the style is named after a South Indian town.
Tanzora.
Yes, Tanjore or Thanjavur art is correct. Your next question coming up, Prithwish. Which port is the only capital city to have the name of a different country contained in its name? In fact, the country is in a whole different continent. Ten seconds.
Port of Spain.
Yes, capital of Trinidad and Tobago, port of Spain, indeed is correct. Srinath, your questions coming up. Here's the first. The Wedding March, the staple background score for weddings all over the world, was written by which German composer while composing incidental music for an 1842 production of Shakespeare's Midsummer Night's Dream?
It says Mendelssohn.
Yes, indeed, it is Felix Mendelssohn. Your next question. Which platform, referred to as the Uber of its industry, was founded by Ben Silberman, Paul Sciarra, and Evan Sharp? It started off as a catalog of ideas that inspires users to go out and do that thing. This visual search engine works with images that have been linked or uploaded from a website. Boards that are collections of such images dedicated to a theme give the platform its name and logo. As is the norm with such platforms, it doesn't own any of the content.
You say 4chan.
Nikhil?
Pinterest.
Pinterest is correct. And before the last round, we have a three-way tie for first currently between Nikhil, Prithwish, and Srinath. And Adittya is currently on 9 at fourth position. Here's Nikhil's last two questions coming up. The first is this. Which UFO religion uses the dating system with the short form AD, which does not stand for Anno Domini, but after Dianetics? It consists of a process called auditing and a concept similar to the self called a thetan. Multiple Hollywood stars have been members of this religion.
Scientology.
It is Scientology. Your next question. Colonial Commissioner Etienne Polverel changed the name of which capital city from its royal title to Port Républicain in 1793, given the ideals of the French Revolution? The name was restored a decade later and remains its name to this day. Interestingly, there is very little clarity in terms of which royal is honored in this city's name.
Port-au-Prince.
Port-au-Prince of Haiti is correct. And we move to Adittya for your questions. Which platform, referred to as the Uber of its industry, has redefined influencer marketing with its AI algorithm picking out content according to the user's preference? In April 2018, an addiction reduction feature was added to nudge users to take a break every 90 minutes, with some top influencers such as Gabe Irwin, Alan Chicken Chow, James Henry, and Cosette Rena encouraging viewers to stop using the app and take a break. As is the norm with such platforms, it doesn't own any of the content.
Instagram.
Srinath?
TikTok.
TikTok is correct. I could have accepted Douyin, which is the name written in China. Aditya, your next question. In this category of a Summer Olympic sport, the competitors are expected to perform from memory a series of predetermined movements. Some of these movements include the piaffe, the passage, flying changes, and pirouettes. The classical version of this category also involves performing airs above the ground. Which category, derived from French, is this? Ten.
Figure skating.
Srinath?
Dressage.
Dressage in equestrian is correct. We move to Aditya for, sorry, Prithwish.
Prithwish.
Prithwish, your questions. Here's the first. Lines from Shakespeare's Two Gentlemen of Verona are set to music in which Austrian composer's work titled Anne Sylvia? Despite an untimely death at the age of 31, this composer is survived by a rich body of work, including the Erlkönig and the Trout Quintet.
Schubert.
Will you repeat that for me, please?
Schubert.
Franz Schubert is correct. Your next question. What is the only surviving pre-Indo-European language in Western Europe? The standardized form of this language isolate, called Euskara Batua, was developed in the late 1960s. It is spoken by around 750,000 people, mostly located in a region in the Western Pyrenees.
Basque.
Basque is indeed correct. And before the last two questions, all of you can have a look at the scores. Three-way tie for first. So, Srinath, we move to you for your questions. Which laboratory device is a graduated glass tube with a tap at one end for delivering known volumes of a liquid? In 1824, Joseph Louis Gay-Lussac developed an improved version of this apparatus and coined this term along with pipette in a paper about the standardization of indigo solutions.
When you say burette,
That's correct. That gives you the lead. Last question coming up. Here it is. Which period in Greek history began with the death of Alexander the Great in 323 BC? The adjective that lends its name to this period is traditionally thought to derive from the name of an eponymous ancestor who was the son of Deucalion. As per some other versions, the name may derive from a small tribe in southern Thessaly. Ten seconds.
when you say Philippic,
Aditya,
Pass.
Nikhil,
Hercule,
Prithwish.
Going to guess Mycenaean.
No. Let's listen from Rajiv quickly what the answer is.
I think this is Hellenistic or Hell.
Hellenistic or Hellenic and so on is the correct answer. So that brings us to the end of a very roller coaster of a quiz. Before we go to the top, round of applause for the fourth place finisher, Adittya Mumbai, tier 2 fourth place. So great job, Aditya. Just an off day for
Thank
you,
you,
I
guys.
reckon.
Yeah.
For tight
Not
second, yeah, happens sometimes. Tight second, we have Nikhil Sonde and Prithwish Datta on 15 points, both with 9 own answers and 6 bonus points. But winning the quiz with the 10 out of 16 and 16 points and the same bonus attempts with the others, it's Srinath Bhashya. So congratulations, Srinath.
thank you. Thank you.
And that brings us to the end of tier 2 of season 1 of FLQL. Thank you everyone for watching and hope to see you all in season 2. Take care.
Thanks, Sreshth.
Well, thanks, Sreshth.
Thanks, guys.
Well done, Srinath.
Well done. Thank you.
Good going, everyone.